Billion-dollar businesses. Where does the money of the super rich come from? And what do they buy with it? There's a comfortable lie that many people prefer to believe, that the super rich became billionaires because they were lucky, were born in the right place, or created something brilliant overnight. But this explanation, besides being superficial, prevents any ordinary person from seeing the real game. The truth is almost uncomfortable. Extreme wealth doesn't come from glamour. It comes from silence, strategy, and decisions that seem boring to those seeking quick results. Here's the paradox. While most people chase status, billionaires chase control. While many want to appear rich, they want to function like the rich, and that changes everything. It changes where they invest, what they buy, who they connect with, and, most importantly, how they think. It's not about cars, watches, or mansions. That's the end of the story, not the beginning. The beginning lies in invisible choices made when no one is applauding. If you've ever felt like you work hard, put in the effort, but always seem to be in the same place, perhaps the problem isn't a lack of effort, but rather a lack of understanding of the game. Throughout this content, you'll see where the money of the super rich really comes from, what they buy when they already have everything, and, most importantly, which mental and strategic patterns can be adapted to your reality. Not to become a billionaire overnight, but to stop playing the wrong game. The invisible origin of great fortunes, what nobody sees. Some people imagine that great fortunes are born from a stroke of luck, a viral app, or a brilliant product launched at the right time. But, between us, the money of the super rich usually comes from much deeper layers, almost always invisible to the public. They build silent foundations, while the world applauds the final result without noticing what goes on behind the scenes. It's like seeing a finished building and forgetting that months, sometimes years, were spent just on the foundation. And that's exactly where the real game begins. Billionaires often plant before they harvest, even when no one is watching. Minority stakes, strategic partnerships, long-term contracts, and indirect control are common moves on this chessboard. A simple example. While many dream of creating something from scratch, they prefer to buy parts of already validated businesses, improve processes, and scale methodically. Books like Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's works help us understand this logic of invisible construction, where patience is worth more than immediate success. And there's a curious detail that almost no one mentions. A large part of these fortunes are born far from the spotlight, precisely to avoid interference. The less attention, the more freedom to make mistakes, adjust, and grow. It's like learning to swim in shallow water before venturing into the ocean. Those, observing from the outside, only see the final dive, without noticing the silent training that came before. And this strategic choice to stay out of the spotlight prepares the ground for something even greater that begins to reveal itself in the next step. Sectors that create billionaires. The secret map of money. There's a curious pattern when you look at where the great billionaires come from. They rarely bet solely on ideas, but on entire sectors. While most people look at famous brands, the super rich analyze infrastructure, bottlenecks, and the permanent needs of society. Energy, logistics, data, health, and technology don't appear on their radar by chance. These are areas that continue to generate money even when the economy falters. It's like investing in the road, not the car that drives on it. The most interesting thing is that many of these sectors operate behind the scenes of everyday life. Few people wake up thinking about data centers, submarine cables, or supply chains, but that's where the money flows steadily. A practical example, while the end consumer is captivated by an app, the billionaire prefers to own the system that hosts, distributes, or finances that app. Reading works such as The Intelligent Investor Benjamin Graham's book helps to train this more structural and less emotional perspective. And there's more. These sectors function as silent wealth factories because they allow for almost infinite scalability. A hospital grows by serving more people. An energy company grows by supplying entire regions. A data platform grows by connecting everything. Those who understand this stop looking for the next hype and start mapping where money is created recurrently. And this map, once understood, naturally leads to the next question. How do these groups enter and exit these sectors without almost anyone noticing? The hidden game of investing. How the super-rich multiply their money while they sleep. While many people still associate investing with buying popular stocks or obvious real estate, the super-rich play a very different game, and almost always under the radar. They prefer assets that don't make noise, but work 24 hours a day. Private funds, stakes in private companies, royalty rights, and credit structures are some of the gears in this silent mechanism. It's like assembling an invisible army that generates income even when no one is watching. A practical example helps to clarify. Instead of buying an entire building, they become partners in dozens of real estate projects at the same time, diluting risk and expanding reach. In art, they don't buy just for aesthetics, but as a store of value and asset protection. As an old financial mentor used to say, money like silence. And that's why books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki's ideas, open minds to viewing assets as systems, not as isolated objects. The key point is that these investments are designed to generate predictability, not emotion. No daily adrenaline rushes or impulsive bets. Everything is structured to work in the long term, with clear rules and minimal interference. Those who understand this game stop asking, "How much does it yield?" and start asking, "Who controls the flow?" And this change in question opens the way to something even more powerful. Using money not just to earn more, but to buy something worth much more than monetary value. How billionaires buy time, power, and influence. When money ceases to be merely a means of survival, it becomes a strategic tool. For billionaires, the main objective is not to accumulate things, but buy time. They outsource everything that consumes mental energy, operational decisions, repetitive tasks, and even parts of their personal routine. A private jet is not an empty luxury. It's a way to eliminate queues, delays, and unnecessary negotiations. In the end, free time becomes space to think better. Beyond time, something even more valuable is being acquired: influence. The super-rich invest in access to key people, decision-making tables, and environments where opportunities arise before becoming news. Strategic councils, closed events, and private clubs function as social shortcuts. A good example is participating in corporate boards or foundations, where business deals emerge in a coffee shop conversation. It's not showing off, it's positioning. And there's a subtle detail that often goes unnoticed. Power, at this level, is rarely noisy. It manifests itself in the ability to choose when to speak, when to act, and when to wait. Those who learn this realize that money doesn't just buy comfort, but freedom of movement. This logic completely changes the way one perceives success, and prepares the ground for understanding why visible luxury is only the tip of the iceberg, while true value is hidden in experiences that almost no one sees. The lifestyle that doesn't appear on Instagram. The luxury that isn't shown off. There is a type of luxury that simply wasn't made to be photographed. The super-rich, when they reach a certain level, begin to avoid exposure and ostentation. Instead of flashy mansions, they prefer discreet, well-located properties that are almost invisible to the public. True luxury lies in privacy, silence, and security. It's like trading a brightly lit stage for a private room where no one interrupts the conversation. This lifestyle includes experiences that can't be captured in stories. Exclusive doctors available 24/7, personalized schools, For children, exclusive clubs where cell phones aren't even allowed. Some invest in private islands or secluded retreats, not to show off, but to disappear whenever they want. A curious example is the growth of luxury bunkers and self-sufficient residences, designed to guarantee comfort even in extreme scenarios. This isn't paranoia, it's planning. Ultimately, this quiet luxury reveals an important shift in mindset. When everything can be bought, value lies in what cannot be easily accessed. Peace, control over one's environment, and freedom of choice become rare commodities. Those who observe carefully notice that the desire for less visibility grows in direct proportion to the increase in wealth. And this search for protection and discretion naturally leads to an inevitable question. How are these fortunes defended against risks that most people can't even imagine? How do they protect their fortunes from crises, governments, and rivals? Reaching the top is difficult, but stay there, that's the real challenge. And the super-rich know this better than anyone. That's why a huge part of their energy isn't focused on earning more, but on don't miss out. Asset protection becomes an absolute priority. Holdings, trusts, private foundations, and international structures function as layers of protection, almost like a safe with multiple passwords. The more complex, the less vulnerable to crises, disputes, or sudden decisions. In practice, this means intelligently diversifying your wealth. Some in real estate, some in businesses, part in assets abroad, always with clear rules for succession and control. It's not escapism, it's strategy. A simple example. While many leave everything in their own name, billionaires place assets under legal entities that survive political changes, divorces, or lawsuits. Reading books like The Darkest Side of Money. Felix Martin's book helps us understand how these mechanisms work, far beyond what is commonly understood. There's also a psychological factor involved in this protection. The greater the wealth, the greater the number of interested parties, not always well-intentioned. Therefore, discretion and planning go hand in hand. They prepare for bad scenarios while everything is still going well, like someone checking their parachute before jumping. And this extreme care reveals something even deeper. The fear isn't scarcity, but the loss of control. And that's where a little discussed cost emerges, silently beginning to take its toll. The dark side, what it costs emotionally to reach the top. Few people talk about it, but there's a high emotional price to pay for playing the game at extreme levels. As wealth grows, spontaneous trust tends to decrease. The super-rich learn early on that not every smile is genuine, and that many relationships are fraught with self-interest. Loneliness arises not from a lack of people around, but from an excess of masks. It's curious to note that the more power someone has, the less they can be completely genuine in public. There are frequent reports of billionaires developing a constant, almost automatic vigilance. They choose their words carefully, control their surroundings, and assess risks even in simple encounters. A casual dinner becomes a silent analysis of intentions. In private conversations, many admit to missing the ease of a time when making mistakes didn't cost millions. It's not drama, it's a consequence. Just as an elite athlete sacrifices freedom to compete at the top, the ultra-rich sacrifice spontaneity to maintain control. This darker side rarely appears in glamorous interviews or biographies, but it teaches something valuable. Money amplifies who a person already is. It doesn't fill inner voids. Those who observe with maturity understand that financial success doesn't replace emotional balance. And this contrast provokes an inevitable reflection. After all, if even the top doesn't guarantee fulfillment, what is truly worth learning from? This world without falling into the same traps? What can ordinary people learn from this universe without needing to be billionaires? Although this whole scenario may seem distant, there are extremely practical lessons that anyone can apply in their daily lives. The first is to change the focus of effort. The super-rich think in systems, not in isolated tasks. Instead of asking, "How do I earn more?" they ask, "How do I make this work without me?" A simple example is creating income streams that don't depend on constant presence, such as recurring investments or well-structured digital businesses. Another powerful lesson lies in how they consume information. Billionaires read to make better decisions, not for entertainment. Biographies, strategy books, and economics books are part of their routine. Works such as Think and Grow Rich, Principles by Ray Dalio, or The Money Game Tony Robbins's methods help develop a long-term vision. Those who apply this begin to better filter advice, opinions, and even opportunities, avoiding seductive shortcuts that lead to dead ends. Perhaps the most accessible lesson is emotional control. They train patience, avoid impulsive decisions, and know how to wait for the right moment. In practice, this can be applied starting small, organizing finances, investing consistently, and choosing better where to allocate time and energy. By doing this, the person stops competing with others and starts competing with themselves. And this change in attitude closes an important cycle, preparing the ground to reflect on everything that has been revealed so far. What are you going to do with all of this now? After seeing how the super-rich build, protect, and use their money, it becomes impossible to continue looking at your own life in the same way. The question that really matters is not, "How much money do I have today?" but "How am I structuring my decisions for the future?" Are you building something that depends entirely on you, or are you creating systems that continue to function even when you stop? This reflection, in itself, is a game changer. Now comes the provocative point. The knowledge you've just acquired only has value if it translates into action. What can you adjust starting today? Read more intentionally? Invest more strategically? Organize your time and finances better? Small decisions repeated over time create gigantic results, and billionaires know this better than anyone. The difference between those who admire and those who build lies in daily application. So here's the invitation. What will be the first step you take this week? What will you stop doing and what will you start doing differently? If this content opened your mind and made you think outside the box, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you don't learn how to look rich. You learn how to think, act, and evolve like someone who's playing the right game.